What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Scotty Talks NBA. Very happy to have you guys tuning in for this one tonight. We got a very special guest. Obviously, you guys see my DSM Media crew up here. We got JD Oracle _ DDS on Twitter. We also got the legend Phil Stifle at Beard and Knowledge.
Always got to say that.
I got to introduce you in a special way, my man. And, of course, we do have a very special guest in Zak Noble. You guys may know him from Ball is Life. He hosts his own show on their channel. It's the Noble Roosh show. So, guys, be sure to check my man Zak out. Always putting out the hot takes on Twitter, always sharing his thoughts. And I honestly love it because I'm somebody that likes to interact with people. I like to, just talk hypotheticals. It's not going to really have an effect on what's actually going to happen, but it's always fun to talk about. So I'm excited to get into some NBA offseason with you. But welcome to the show, Zak.
Appreciate you guys for having me. Excited to be here.
All right. So before we get started, guys, of course, I have to let you know, be sure to subscribe to the DSM Media channel. As we always tell you, we are bringing the content almost every day of the week. We got 8 different shows on our network, and we're really just trying to grow here. We got some huge plans coming up in the future. As we mentioned on several of our shows, we got the open tailgate coming up at the Eagles Open Practice. That will be on August 22nd in next month. So keep your eyes out for more details. We'll be providing food, beer, merch, all types of stuff, giveaways. So definitely check that out. Be sure to tune in. But guys, let's get into some NBA talk here. We got a lot on the plate. And of course, we want to get our special guest takes, but guys, feel free to chime in at any time. We'll kind of keep it an open table here. So first things first, what do you guys want to get into? Dame, Beal, what would you guys prefer to talk about first here?
Well, the guest gets choice, right?
He gets the choice. He's the man.
What's on your mind? It's Ben Simmons.
Passionate about.
Oh man, trying to figure out how to get out to this tailgate. Get me some merch.
Seriously, man, you got the invite.
The lineup you guys sent me looks pretty good, but we can dive right into the trade talk. Dame and Beal, I think for sure Beal's going to be on the move. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. I mean, there's just too much smoke, and I wanted him gone last year, if not the year before. I was ready for it. Just thought John Wall and him ran its course, but the big question is where. Just think a lot of teams like Boston are trying that aren't going to get him. And so I really think Ben Simmons might be the first trade piece to fall. But who knows? Maybe a Ben for Bradley Beal and a couple extra pieces might work out. I'd love that. I mean, I want Philly to stay great, being I'm a Kansas guy and Joel Embiid. I'm a big Joel fan, so I want them to be as good as possible. And, I mean, the foundation's there, so why not keep the league as strong as possible? So, and I think Ben's got to move. I'm a firm believer that Ben's got to go. Relationships ran its course, and I'm sick of it.
Yeah. No, and, from a Philly fan here, I can relate. Trust me. It feels like I'm going insane if I have to watch, the same thing carry out the next postseason. So I'm kind of to that point where as much, faith I have in Ben's potential, his top capabilities, I'm kind of ready for that move to happen.
Wait, you still believe there's potential there?
I do believe there's potential. I think it is all mental. Now, if mental is able to be overcome, I don't know about that. That's one of the hugest steps it's going to take as a player. And, it depends what your belief is. Some people believe that if you don't have that dog mentality in you, that hooper mentality that you want to be the best, then it's not just going to develop there overnight. And if that's something you believe, then yeah, you're out on Ben Simmons, definitely. I think
my shrink says no, so
there you go. But guys, I guess what I'll throw to you guys, and maybe I'll throw it to you first, Phil. What do you think a deal in your mind would look like for a guy like Beal, and let's even level it out like this: is Beal going to receive the same return that a guy like Damian Lillard would? Are they on the same level there?
I don't think they're on. I think they're really close to the same level. But real quick on Zach's point, these guys are going to get traded, whether it's Ben Simmons, Dame, Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
You can only run it back so many times. And, it's not like Dame Lillard's 25 like Ben Simmons. He's 30 years old now. I don't know if he'll be 31 before the season or not. So you got to realize it's time for change. And the package for Dame, I mean, I know he's 30 years old, but, I mean, he's probably one of the top 5 players in the game right now. And at least that's in my opinion. It's borderline 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that range. For the Sixers, at least with Ben Simmons, it's going to take Ben Simmons. It's going to take Matisse Thybulle, Maxey, some combination of those two guys. It's going to take 2 or 3 draft picks on top of that. But on Bradley Beal's side of it, I think you could get away with a little bit less. Maybe more on the draft pick compensation and less on the players. Because if they get rid of Bradley Beal, they're basically in full rebuild mode.
Yeah. And so I honestly want to get your take on this question right here in the comments from Gent. Are you against trying to run Ben at the 4 if you can't find the right move for him? How over should we be of Ben Simmons and his struggles in the playoffs? Because I know JD up top, I know you are not to that point where you want to move Ben Simmons. You definitely don't want to move him, for pennies to the dollar. So where do you stand with that, Zach? Would you be willing to try something different like that, or you are just totally done if you're the Sixers with that?
I mean, I'm not going to give him up for like 2 first-round picks and cap filler. No, I'm not like that out on him. Like I still believe in Ben Simmons as a valuable asset, and you definitely don't trade him unless you like the return. But I'm probably going to accept a lesser return than most people. I mean, a lot of Philly fans. You can try me with some deals, and I probably will be more lenient than most, you can say. But like, for instance, Dame, in my opinion, if you're just going by first-round picks, for instance, like comparing it to like the Harden trade, like Dame, I think, is worth at least 5 first-round picks and then cap filler. If you're going for just simple math like that, where Ben Simmons, I'd say just shitty cap filler and 3 first-round picks. Like, he's still worth that.
Yeah.
And then Bradley Beal's right in the middle of both those two. So it's super interesting. 3 really high-end players that are all at different trade values in my estimation. So at the end of the day, I think the Sixers are super close. I really believe in Maxey and Thybulle as well. So I would be all about fit. I mean, for instance, you could talk me into a Sacramento package pretty easily. I'm a big believer in Buddy Hield yet. That can be a valuable piece. It's just you got to get defense with that as well. I'm not sure if it's a Buddy Marvin Bagley deal is going to get it done for me. I need a little more than that, I'd say. But at the same time, it's not far off. But I do think Ben Simmons, should be able to return you somebody really good. CJ McCollum might be the best player that comes to mind. That'd be the return.
So can I ask you a question then? Because I've been pushing this subject for weeks now, that unless you're getting Dame or Bradley Beal, it's going to be very hard for one team to entice the Sixers with enough just on their team. I see a huge 3-4 team, unless it's Dame or Bradley Beal. I see this complicated where multiple teams have to get involved so that everybody gets what they want out of the trade.
Yeah, if the Sixers value Ben like for one of those guys, yeah, it's going to be really tough, and they're not getting a deal done. I can tell you that, unless you do get a 3-4 team trade. But to me, I will accept the CJ McCollum. I would do that straight up right now if I'm the Sixers. But do I think they can get Dame with Ben Simmons being the headliner? Yes, you're just going to have to give up a shit ton more. You really do. Can you get Bradley Beal with Ben Simmons? Yes, you're just going to have to give up the rest of the farm too. But not the farm. I'm just talking Maxey and Matisse and maybe their moms, but I don't know. But
you said it. You said it. You said the farm. The rest of the farm system will have to go to get. Zach, my ears are like blowing smoke out of them. I can't even function right now. So I'm a big believer in Ben, only because the kid's 25 years old. You can't get this kid away for penguins or pennies or peanuts or preparation H or whatever you want to give away. You can't give this guy away for anything, because at the end of the day, I don't care that him and Joel are arguing. I argue with my brother all the time. Me and him have actually come to blows. And I'm just telling everybody, we're going to be regretting the moment that we started this stuff about get rid of Ben Simmons, because he's going to go to the Lakers or somebody. Somehow they're going to get him, and LeBron is going to train him up, get his mental together, and he's going to be a freaking monster. You remember the original Space Jam when the Monstars came? He's going to be that guy, and we're going to have to play him. Or he goes to Washington, and we got to play him every year, and then he puts us out the playoffs. How sad would you be then, Phil?
Dude, I'm willing to take the chance.
I'm gonna tell you this, Ben, I'm not completely out on Ben's upside. I'm not, but like, there's very few situations where you're gonna get more out of Ben Simmons. But I've said this since he's been a rookie. He's been one of the best, most valuable rookies this game has ever seen, and he hasn't improved much since his rookie year, which is fine. He can be the same exact player as he is now and have a really freaking awesome NBA career and be super valuable in this league. So, like, if he doesn't get any better from this point, it's not a failure. No, he's still worth the number one pick. He could be an all-time defensive player of the year, but he just doesn't fit enough with the Sixers, and I don't think he's going to ever improve there. They've tried him at the 4, so that idea is out the window, in my opinion. It's just got time to move on, and Joel's getting restless. He really is. I mean, I wouldn't want to waste any moments with him and lose out on Joel Embiid's prime here.
I've said it before, maybe even on Scotty's shows before, that I've said Ben Simmons' ceiling, if he put it all together, is higher than Joel Embiid's, in my opinion. I think Ben Simmons, if he figured it all out, could be an all-time great because his athleticism, he's not going to get broken down. It's all mental. And I'm willing to take that chance and move on from him. And I hope he does well elsewhere because that's fine because that means he put it all together. I want to see him put it all together, but you can't run it back. You just can't, JD.
I'm a mentality guy. I draft on mentality higher than most, and I just value mentality so much. The dog, like Maxey, that's why I still believe in him because he's got the dog in him, and I just think you can replace Ben with Maxey and then really good other role players and add depth to this team and not lose much from overall team level-wise.
Real quick, Scotty, because I know you're about to jump in. I got to take this comment real quick. So this is from Dylan. So Dylan says, the day that Washington bounces us from the playoffs, I'll start watching ball. Well, buddy, you almost stopped watching ball this year. It almost happened. You almost stopped watching basketball for the entirety of your life, if that's what you were basing that off of. Because we almost lost to Washington.
No, we did not.
Stop.
Washington did not stand a chance.
What was the series?
Oh, I don't remember. I forgot about all that already. But no, they had no chance.
They won one game because Joel Embiid got injured.
We were at the game that they lost.
So they lost one game. Relax.
So 4-1. And they didn't even have a good team. They had the pride of Japan was killing us.
So what I'm gonna say, I just wanted to follow up to like the Lakers, like the key thing here with Ben Simmons in this situation, and they've talked about this in the national aspect, but he kind of doesn't really have a say in where he's going to go. He's locked in for 4 years with this contract, and I believe it was reported he doesn't even have like any options in there. So he's locked in with whatever team he gets moved to, regardless. So he's not going to have a ton of say. Now, obviously, with the landscape of the league, the agents are controlling the league a little bit more, but he's about as locked in as you probably can be for an all-star level player. So the last thing I wanted to we can end the Ben Simmons talk here because I know you're a Minnesota guy, Zach. I know you told us before the show you had a strong take about just the Ben Simmons to Minnesota aspect. What would be your limit? You said you're for Minnesota picking up Ben Simmons. What would be your limit? Who's off the table for you in a deal like that?
Yeah, for me, I'm all about giving you guys all the picks. I'll give you all the picks. I'd love Ben Simmons on this team just to make Cat and D'Lo happy, and I think he fits our team perfectly as well. He's just a guy we've been longing for and we've needed, so I'm willing to overpay for him as a small market shitty franchise like us would have to do. So I'll give you 3-4 picks and Malik Beasley. Let's call it a day. But I'm not giving up D'Angelo Russell. I'm not. That's where I call it. I mean, Malik Beasley's probably, him and Jaden McDaniels. I know most outside people don't value Jaden McDaniels like we do internally because most people didn't want to watch our shitty franchises last year. So let's be honest. Jaden McDaniels, I'm telling you, he's going to be a long-time starter in this league. can guard basically 2 through 5. He's going to bulk up. He's really good. He's here for the long run.
What about Anthony Edwards? Are you willing to move him in a Ben Simmons
Hell
trade?
no. Hell no. Anthony Edwards should be able to
I prefer Anthony Edwards over D'Lo. I don't want D'Lo. You can keep D'Lo.
Yeah, I don't want D'Lo. I don't want him snitching on Embiid or anybody else's wife. I don't want him doing any of that.
Will never shake that.
Oh my god!
If you guys had D'Lo, I think he'd be a true contender next year. I really do.
What, D'Lo for Ben? Just say that was straight up a swap.
I'm not doing it.
No. I'm saying you think the Sixers, say it happened. You think the Sixers swapping out D'Lo for Ben Simmons would make us a contender?
I do. Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Maybe, yeah. I don't pay close enough attention to D'Lo.
That's fine. No, I can understand if people are down on D'Lo. I understand completely. The only reason why, D'Lo's got 1 year to keep this high standing in my regards. I'll tell you this. It's boom or bust for him this year. But D'Lo, Cat, Anthony, we got a bunch of players on our team that aren't going to get it out the mud. They're not going to be great in every single situation you put them in, which is really tough. We got guys that you need either just the perfect supporting cast or top-notch coaching and management around them, and we're not proven to have either of that yet. So who knows if our guys are ever going to reach their full potential. That's the scary part about the players we have, in my estimation.
So I guess my follow-up question would be, what makes you value? So are you saying that you don't necessarily value D'Lo more than Ben Simmons, but just as a fit on Minnesota, or you just value D'Lo completely more than Ben Simmons?
It's team to team. It's very close overall. It's very close overall. I definitely value being D'Lo's already got the relationship with Cat.
Yeah,
I don't know how tight the relationship with Ben and Cat are. I don't know if that tight with anybody, to be honest.
Yeah.
But so that's a big play here. I mean, we went out and got D'Angelo Russell. I mean, to make Karl-Anthony Towns happy. That's just the principle here. But overall, if you go team by team, it'd be really close who I'd prefer on more teams than the other. But I'll tell you, you go to the Lakers or with Dame or the Celtics or even the Sixers, I'm going to take Ben Simmons over Dame all day, where, defense is preferred. But there's a lot of places I'd take D'Lo over Ben as well.
So that all being said, obviously the Ben, the D'Lo, or the Ben, the Dame, the Beal talk, it's all centered for us as Sixers fans, around Ben Simmons. Where do you think Dame and Beal end up? If it's not with the Sixers, unless that's where you think they end up, where would you hypothetically think they have the best shot of going next season? Yeah,
so for me, I'd be hard-pressed that Portland's not going to allow Dame to go where he wants, okay? I don't think they should. I think they should go wherever they can get the best package. I've been saying this about players in general. just say F the player and go where you can get the best package, because it's not doing these small market franchises any favors. It really isn't. And when I say small market, I mean non-destination franchises as well. And Houston's a huge market, and I consider them a non-destination. Really do. But Dame, I'd say LA, New York, Philly, Boston, Miami, Golden State. I think that's the list right there. It'd be tough to see anywhere else. It really would be. There's definitely anybody should be interested in him. I think immediately, he's going to make you guys a for sure second round contender. Most teams he'll make a conference finals contender right away. So I'm in the firm belief when there's a star available, you should do everything you can. To see if the package is worth it for your franchise, and no matter who you are. So Dame's the guy I think everybody should be going after. Bradley Beal isn't on that same level, so his market should be a little tighter. But I just think he's going to be going to a better franchise. I think he's going to be going to a team that's in the playoffs already, because he's a ceiling raiser. He's not a floor raiser. Dame's a floor raiser. So I would say I'd add Dallas into that mix, but all those teams I just mentioned, I think would be going after Bradley Beal as well. But Toronto, I'd love to see them try to make a move for Bradley Beal. But Honestly, anywhere that, doesn't have two great guards already, or they have a good defensive player in between the 1 and the 3, I'd try to bring in Bradley Beal. But Brad's a guy, though, that fits basically with just about anybody. He really does. I truly believe that. So as long as you're already a playoff team, you should be going after Bradley Beal.
Yeah, and I think we can kind of leave, the Beal and Dame talks at that. Definitely, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, to say the least. These are a lot of big names. These are a lot of credentialed, NBA players. So these guys, if any of these guys move, it is going to be just a big story in general. And I'm excited to see how it plays out. Obviously, I want a few of these guys in Philadelphia, but it's always interesting seeing where these moving parts go. So I'm very interested to see it. One question I want to throw to you, Zach, before we move from the Philadelphia landscape here, and it'll kind of transition into my next question, which we're going to kind of drift towards the LA market there, the Lakers. But would you trade, if you're the Sixers, would you trade the 28th pick for Kyle Kuzma?
The 28th pick for Kyle Kuzma?
Yes.
Yeah, in a second, I'd do that.
In a second, right?
I think Kuzma's got more upside. Like, Kuzma's gonna, like, some people say he's a negative value. No, he's definitely right at even value, maybe a little above positive value. But I think him in a change of scenery, and it all depends on, what the rest of the roster looks like with Kuzma. But I think you could throw him in there right now. Especially if Ben's on the way out, it just might take a little toll on the defense. Maybe not, but I'd roll out Maxey, Matisse, Tobias, Kuzma, and Embiid. Why not?
Yeah, I thought it was something that was being discussed in Philly Twitter.
No, obviously, whatever you bring back for Ben, hopefully it's a better upgrade somewhere.
Defensively.
That was my exact words we were talking about before you joined in before the show. I'm like, maybe the change of scenery works for Kuzma, but I'm not sure whether he's past change of scenery solving his growth. That was my concern.
I don't think he has a lot of growth left, but I think he definitely has more consistency in his peak performances now.
Yeah, and I just think, where the Sixers are at, if you're looking at the 28th pick and you need immediate impact, I'm going to go get a guy that can potentially come off the bench or potentially contribute something positive to the team. I think it's a low risk, high reward type of thing. I just thought it was weird that it was being discussed back and forth. I thought that was kind of like a no brainer. I don't value the 28th pick too high when you're trying to win now. But
it'd be hilarious because he was the 27th pick. So it'd be
that's
funny.
what I was kind of. He would even drop down the pick even. So you're really not like losing the value on him. But we'll kind of drift more towards the LA Lakers now. There's been a lot of rumors that come out as they do every offseason throughout the season. Everybody's always connected to LA. And of course, we have already got the rumors this offseason so far. So far, just a few names to mention: CP3, Russell Westbrook, and then Kyle Lowry was another name there. Obviously, Westbrook isn't a free agent, but Kyle Lowry is a guy that could be, a sign-in trade or even, leave in free agency. And then CP3 has the option there with Phoenix, so he can either, run it back with Phoenix or opt out. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out. But just, a fun topic for me. I'm interested to see, out of these 3 point guards, who do you guys think would fit with that LA roster? Now, obviously, they're going to do some retooling. I saw they've offered, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kuzma to almost every team in the league. A bunch of guys were laughing about that. But just as far as those 3 guys that have been rumored there, who do you guys think would fit in the best with AD and LeBron there? I'll toss you. Nobody want to jump in.
Chris, so I always wait for the guest to go first.
Okay,
I'm honest and gracious.
I'll go last. I want to go last.
All right. So best fit. I love Chris Paul. I've been wanting Chris Paul. He's the best player of the 3 of them yet, in my estimation. I'd say I'd go CP, Westbrook, Lowry, but fit for the Lakers, I'd go CP, Lowry, then Westbrook. Depending on contract, though, we already know Westbrook's contract's asinine right now. It's huge. So if you can get you're more than likely, you're for sure going to get a much better deal regardless. Whatever you come up with on those other two is just years wise. Like, what kind of years can you agree on? Now, if I can get either one of those locked up for 1-2 years, I'm doing it in a second. I'm not even going to question their health. It's just kind of a no-brainer there. So I hope it works out. I'd love to see an LA Brooklyn finals, or an LA Milwaukee, or LA Philly, one of the three. If they get rid of Ben, of course. But yeah, that's how I look at it.
You stole. That's exactly how I would have said it. And the key thing that I really want to reiterate that you said is getting CP3 or Lowry, because there's been talks whether the Sixers will do a sign and trade with the Raptors for Kyle Lowry, and it's everything you see. It's like, well, Lowry has to sign a 3-year deal. I don't want Lowry or CP3 for 3 years or 4 years. Right. If you can get 1 or 2 years, I am all in CP3 or Lowry for the Lakers, for the Sixers, for anybody. It makes them major contenders. I don't see Westbrook a good fit for any team that has 1 or 2. The Lakers have 2 alpha dogs in LeBron and Anthony Davis. I just can't see Westbrook meshing well with those guys there. You take the contract out of the equation.
All right, guys.
I'm with you. I'd say I'm in the minority, though, at saying Westbrook's an actual positive asset, though. Like, if you can't get the other two, I'd still accept Westbrook, and I'd still think he can make them a great contender. He's not going to give them negative value, and the team's going to go backward with Russ, like a lot of people on Twitter are going to say.
I love Russell Westbrook. Don't get me wrong. I even put it out there when the season ended, some of the side names outside of Beal and Dame that the Sixers might look to be their point guard next year would be Russell Westbrook. I don't love the idea, but I love Russell Westbrook. I love his heart and his determination to win it all. I just think with multiple alpha dogs, it just doesn't work.
All right, guys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm coming here to wreck all this shit. All right. First off, the only one that is worth going after in this whole little section is CP3. I mean, I love Lowry, but I think Lowry's like 75 years old in dog years, and he probably doesn't have much left. You maybe get him for a year. Okay, cool. Maybe 2, but I don't see that. I see you go after the person that just really played one of his best seasons of his career. You go after CP3. I know he wasn't able to finish it, but with his homeboy LeBron drinking red wine, you never know what can happen. All right, CP3 to the Lakers. There was another name, Russ. The only reason I don't like Russ is because for us or anybody is because you have to give him a lot of shooters around him. We've never really seen him with a crap ton of shooters, and that would make a difference. He's going to penetrate. He's going to have somebody to kick the ball out to. That's his best possible place to end up. I hate to do this to anybody because I know Dylan's saying that CP3 is older. I don't give a shit how old CP3 is. CP3 can be old as dirt. Did he look like he was old? Biased. Did he look old? He didn't look old this year. I mean, he looked kind of old towards the end, but
he looked old at the end of the season.
Hey, listen. You can't win them all, all right? You can't win every single battle, all right? I'm just telling you, give him a shot. Give CP3 a run. And they tried to block it the first time. The first time CP tried to go to the Lakers with Kobe, they blocked it. I think it's karma. You let CP3 go to the Lakers, him and LeBron win 2 more championships. What's up?
I think health-wise, I'd say Lowry and CP are a wash there.
I mean, yeah, I feel that because, I mean, Lowry's always been a guy that is willing to get in there and get gritty, though. You know what I mean? He kind of takes the hits and keeps moving. But as far as injuries, I guess Lowry was beat up last season. But CP3, he's had his fair share lately. But definitely, I think, I'm not here to bash CP3. He definitely fit beautifully with LA, and it would take a lot off of his shoulders, I think, as well, as long as AD's healthy.
You said shoulders?
Hey, I'm just going to say, I don't know if you guys agree. I think CP3 stays in Phoenix. Whether he just picks up or declines it to, re-sign a longer year deal. I think CP3 doesn't want to just be bouncing around every year, going from Oklahoma City to Phoenix to LA. I think him and Booker have a good reputation there. I think Phoenix and their coaching staff need to do a little bit better job of his load management. I know we all hate that term, load management. But, they just need to manage him a little bit better to keep him fresh for the finals. I think if you run that back and the experience that DeAndre Ayton got in the finals, I think those 3 there, Mikal Bridges, I think they run it back. That's the one city I can name 4 other towns that aren't going to run it back or shouldn't run it back. Phoenix is running it back.
Do you
I
think
hope so
that?
too.
Do you think that
so
Chris
too.
Paul should go back there? Do you think that that is the best situation for him to win a championship versus LA?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
LA is definitely better. I mean, there's many places that are better. Let's not kid ourselves, but not many. I'd say the only teams that are for sure better. I mean, the Lakers. I mean, Kawhi is who knows. I mean, the other team. I mean, depending on what Philly can drum up. I mean, Philly would be the other spot that you could make an argument that might be better, and then maybe Boston. Those three teams, I think, are the only teams that really have a strong argument that might be better fits for a championship right now. But I don't know. Phoenix is getting better every freaking game. Ayton, Booker, Bridges, Cam Johnson, every single player got better as the season went on. So I think you'd be kind of stupid to leave as well. The chemistry is built.
And I would hate to. I would honestly hate to see that happen after 1 year. You go straight to the finals, and then he, just dips for LA. That would be so annoying. But I would understand it though. Don't get
you mean like KD?
I would understand it. Right.
Oh shit! Right, that's crazy. It's funny. I know you're optimistic right now, Scotty, but I want to be honest about this whole thing. I hate to bring it down, but I want to bring it down. Who do we honestly think Philly is going to get? Like, I hate going back to it, but who do we actually think we're going to get? Like, I know.
Let me ask you guys this.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be like a Kyle Lowry type of situation. I could really see that. Or, just somebody that the fan base probably will overreact to and undervalue, but it's just where Ben's value is. Like a CJ McCollum, Zach mentioned it earlier. I know Philly fans don't like that idea, but production-wise, I mean, you talk about fit and production-wise, it is kind of a perfect switch if you're just looking on paper of what Philly was missing last year, and then you add a defensive presence like Ben to Dame Lillard, and that's almost unfair as well. So I think it would be good value for both sides. Don't think the fan base is going to react well to that. And, hindsight, you could end up regretting that as well. But if you're asking who I think, I mean, obviously we hope for the best. Like we would love we haven't even talked about Levine because it seems like that's calmed down a little bit, I guess. But Levine, Beal, Dame, those are the guys that I want. Those are the three guys that would come to my mind first. Now, if you're talking with teams like Sacramento, which they've made it clear so far that they're not willing to move De'Aaron Fox, that's a guy I would consider as well. I know you had some thoughts on that before, JD.
No, actually, I agree with Zach. Me and Zach agree. I told you.
You like Buddy Hield.
I like Buddy Hield. I've been saying that since he was in college. If you guys don't remember, Buddy Hield, when he played in the Sweet 16, he went off. Like, dudes forget all about dude.
He's still been great in the NBA.
And Bagley is still a good person. They're smart. They don't get any play. I only seen Sacramento play one time in like 3 years on TV. So I mean, we have a whole lot of people talking trash, like the armchair coaches, but none of them guys watch film. They don't know who's good. So when you say names like Buddy Hield or you say or Marvin Bagley makes it where you got another big that can come in for Joel Embiid.
I do love the Marvin Bagley idea.
Nobody thinks about this stuff though. You start talking to people about ball and they get stupid. They get retarded. Like it's like, have a conversation with me. Okay, Buddy Hield is a shooter. The only reason you don't like Simmons is because he can't shoot. Buddy Hield is a shooter. He's streaky, but he can shoot it. You got Curry on the other side. So you just need to use your mind. You still got Maxey. You still got Tyrese. Thibault, depending on how he shoots. So just take that. Stop being greedy.
Let me ask you guys this. Last question on this subject. I know Scotty wants to move on here, but give me the least amount you'd accept for Ben Simmons, and then give me like the most you'd give up for the ideal player, whether it's Levine or Brad Beal or Joel Embiid.
I'll go first. It's a really easy answer for me. The least I'll accept, and it's unpopular, not Buddy Hield, CJ McCollum. That's the least I would accept. I'm perfectly okay. I think CJ McCollum offers a little bit more than Buddy Hield for the team. But the most I'd give up, and it's only for Beal and Dame. I would literally give up to get Bradley Beal or Dame Lillard, Maxey and Thibault, and 2 first-round picks, along with Ben Simmons. I would farm because if you're getting Beal or Dame, you're going all in to win a title in the next 2 years, and you just do it.
I agree. I'd do the same.
All right, Scotty, go ahead. You tell them.
You want me to go?
Yeah, I want you to go.
So, Phil, I am with you on the CJ McCollum as far as the basement. That's my go-to. I would probably do that over the Buddy Hield. Now, when you add Marvin Bagley into the situation, makes it a little bit interesting.
Because I'll also throw in. You want to throw in Marvin Bagley with Hield? I'm throwing Robert Covington in with CJ McCollum.
Bam.
CJ McCollum
and a little Nasir Little.
A little Nasir little bit of potential back in there. So, yeah, that's what I would go with over the Sacramento deal per se. The other one I was going to mention, just Indiana, they kind of fell out of the rumors there. Brogdon in the 13th pick. I mean, I probably wouldn't accept it. Definitely not accepting that, first offer of the summer. But I thought that was a great gauge of where, an initial offer for Ben, because I thought that was like maybe throw in one more player there.
Throw in TJ McConnell, who's turned into a defensive NBA Player of the Year candidate.
Throw in TJ Warren.
Why not Brogdon, TJ Warren? I'd love that. I love it. I'm a Brogdon guy.
I love LeVert as well, but I think that would be a little too much for them. As far as Beal, I think Beal and Dame are probably on the same level for me as far as what I would offer. I think Beal would take a little bit less. I'm with you, Phil. I'm offering, the house. I'm offering Thibault and Tyrese Maxey if they're requiring that, which I feel like they probably would, given where our draft picks are actually going to be. So I would do the Thibault, Maxey, Ben. I would, once we get to the first round picks, I don't care. Whatever they want, as far as the picks, if they want 3, if they want, 4 or 3 and a pick swaps, I'm doing all of that. If you're going in for Dame, Beal, you're going in for right now with Embiid's window. It's time to go. So
all in for that ring. All in for the ring.
It's all in for the ring if you make a move.
Dame, Tobias, and Embiid can get it done. I really believe that. But the best deal I've heard for Ben that is kind of believable being it's Matt with HP Basketball at Action Network. I think he's probably got some insight. I believe it, but I just don't. I think this is way too much for Ben Simmons. And it is just reported an hour ago, but Fred VanVleet, OG, and a first-round pick for Simmons, which would be an absolute no-brainer for me. I think that team might be the best team in the league.
Hold on. What's the pick? What's the Raptors pick? The 13th?
No, the Raptors got the number 4 pick this year, but
I heard you say the 13th. That's why I was surprised. The 4th pick, yeah, absolutely.
I doubt it's.
I thought it was where it was the 4th pick. I thought I heard the 13th somewhere.
Oh my goodness, VanVleet would be so nasty, and then you throw in OG who can take that defensive presence right back. He's a great defender. I mean, that should be at the top of the table.
I mean, Fred alone, to me, it might be worth it. But that's just the no-brainer of all no-brainers. But there's no way that just reaches Twitter without getting done. Daryl Morey can't be that stupid.
Right. Like, there's no way you can have to do that. I mean, my goodness. The
only reason why he doesn't take that is because he feels that the Dame Lillard trade is going to happen.
Exactly.
That's the only reason why he doesn't, because he's already working those pieces.
Hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are we talking about Morey, the same dude that's supposed to get Harden here, the same dude that was supposed to bring?
Morey never had a shot at James Harden.
Listen, I'm just
really all need to accept that Houston was not doing business with Daryl Morey in Philadelphia. Zero chance. The Sixers could have offered 5 first-round picks. Matisse, they were going to hold what Morey did leaving Houston against him. There was no chance because we had so much more to offer than the Nets did for James Harden. So I don't want to hear that.
No, I get it. But check this out.
To your bashing point, he couldn't get a 3rd star in Houston. He screwed up many, many times in Houston on behalf of James Harden. Like, he should have been able to get Jimmy Butler, Chris Bosh, whoever. They struck out many, many times. Paul George. Couldn't get anybody to be that 3rd star or the perfect fit. Like I always say, yes, as historic as that Houston team was, there's literally about 20 players that would fit better than Chris Paul and James Harden did.
Yo, and just to throw this out there, I just want to we were also talking about this earlier in the week, and I had said this to somebody. I was like, we're talking about Morey. Morey has done some great things. He got rid of the best thing he did was get rid of Al Horford. That's the best thing he's done so far. But the worst thing that he did was get our hopes up about my man from the Toronto, like Kyle Lowry. He did all this stuff about Kyle Lowry, and to me personally, he hasn't provided me anything. I would have had this probably before.
But I was on Scotty Talks before the season started, and I said, look, I'm not excited about Daryl Morey. He did excite me a little bit. He basically traded Al Horford and Josh Richardson for Seth Curry and Danny Green. That's basically what his offseason was. And it was an amazing offseason, and picking up Maxey late in the draft. But on the flip side of the equation, in his time in Houston, what did he ever do? He never won a title. So we have to,
Don't get me wrong. I love Daryl Morey, and I'll take him over definitely at least
Sam Hinkie.
20 GMs probably. He'd probably be in my top 10, top 7 for sure.
Absolutely.
But
so that's all I'm saying. This hear me out. Like, that's the only reason why I'm saying I'm not that pressed. I don't think we're getting any of these big guys. I think we should take the Toronto. If the Toronto offer is a real offer, we take them. You're not getting
they're real people, though. It's not like they're not real. That's a great offer right there. I didn't even see that. If you said that in the last hour, that's why I missed that one.
Matt Moore, HP.
But all I would say, I guess, is, with the Kyle Lowry situation at the trade deadline, I swear they were asking for a similar package to what Dame, what people are saying would be reasonable for us to give for Dame. I mean, I think instead of like 3 first-round picks or 4 first-round picks, it was like 1 or 2. But you're talking about for a 35-year-old Kyle Lowry at that point. So I can't blame him for not pulling that trigger when it was rumored that they want, I believe they wanted Ben Matisse. Or no, they didn't want Ben. It wasn't Ben in that. So I take that back. That was incorrect to me. We
didn't want to give away Thibault.
Matisse, Tyrese Maxey, and
Maxey
first-round picks, I believe. So
Maxey and Matisse held that up.
And now y'all about to give them away for peanuts and a pack of now-and-laters and 2 or 3 Viagra pills. Like, that's what you guys are giving this guy away for. Like, I'm not okay with it. I'm not going to be okay with it. So I'm not okay with it.
Are you talking about Maxey, or are you talking about in a deal where Maxey's included for Dame Lillard, or?
My thing is, I do not want to give away our young talent because I'm not really sure what's going to happen with Joel Embiid. He's been injured a lot. And that's why I'm saying I just can't leverage my future. We're watching Thibault legit ball out with some Aussies dudes. Like, they're just balling out, having a good time. They're playing defense. They're dunking on people. Like, why can't we just stick? Why do we have to feel like we have to make the biggest move? If Joel Embiid is not okay in the next 2 years, we're going to be kicking ourselves in the ass anyway. If he gets hurt again, because a toe can take a big guy out for years. Like, look at Shaq. Toe injury had him down for like 5 years. So Joel Embiid is a generational talent, and I know that. But if I give away my house, he doesn't have anybody to help him no matter what.
I don't know. That's kind of on the opposite end of that question. Like, that's how I feel. I feel if Joel Embiid's injured, then we're done anyways. Like, I don't think Ben Simmons is going to get it done if Joel Embiid goes down. Like, I don't think that's a real thing to look forward to. So in that case, I would rather have Dame Lillard there if Joel Embiid goes down than Ben Simmons. That's kind of how I look at that. If I'm looking for, Joel Embiid goes down, he's the guy that is averaging close to 30 points these days. Where do you get that scoring from if he goes down and Ben Simmons is there? At least Damian Lillard has showed that he can take that uptick in production and be efficient and still succeed as a superstar in the NBA. We haven't seen Ben do that.
Ben scored 42 in a game. Just so you know that, since he doesn't score. He did that. Like, that
scoring in the playoffs, man.
Dude,
I don't know. I want to pose this to Zach, though. I want to pose this to Zach because Zach's a basketball. He's a hooper. I can tell he can hoop on the low. He might not be showing everybody, but he can hoop. So my thing is, there's only so many shots in the game. And if we look at a box score, who's taking all the shots? There's only so many shots. If Tobias is getting 20 attempts, Curry's getting 15 attempts, Joel's getting 25 attempts.
Curry shouldn't be getting 15 attempts.
He didn't be getting as many attempts as he was.
Curry should be playing 20 to 25 minutes a game and getting 8 to 10 shots a game. That's where you maximize Curry.
Listen, all I'm telling you is the dude was the most efficient player in the playoffs for the most part. So that we can throw all that out the window. Dude was scoring on like limited amount of shots. So you can't tell me that. So all these shots are being taken. That's 60-something shots.
I think you're onto something a little bit there, but I think regardless, that's not going to – I still think it just comes down to Ben. And I think it's pretty simple. Unless he's changing the way he plays and comes more aggressive. He can – I've been saying this for years. I'm not like one of those petty people that are hung up on his shot. Yeah, it's disappointing. I'm just saying attack. Just attack. I mean, the dude basically took one attempt in his last 4 games. I don't think he took any, to be honest, which is insane in the fourth quarter of his last 4 games.
We haven't even talked about free throws.
You just got to attack the rim.
Yeah, true. All right, guys. I'm putting up my flag.
No, you're keeping it real. Because I see the opposite end of the stick, and it's like if you still hold Ben to that high value, it's how I felt up until this playoffs. That's when I was out, and I no longer saw the potential.
Hey, Scotty, I was on your first preview show of the year before this season started, and I said you got to give Doc Rivers and Morey 1 season with Ben and Joel. See if it works. It didn't work. You got to move them. That's all we keep coming back to is Ben Simmons. This is supposed to be an NBA show.
It's like a rabbit hole, man. Like, I can't get out of it.
Dude, he's everywhere. He's on the SBs. He's been, in football shows. I saw him mentioned in a football show the other day. Ben is everywhere.
So I actually would love to ask Zach. I know we got other topics to get to, and I know you got limited time. But I've been talking about there's a lot more teams than just the Sixers and Portland, that you can't run it back the same way. Are there any other teams you think, maybe whether it's, the Jazz or Boston, that just has no way that they can run it back again this year or this upcoming season, that they have to make a big move to change it up?
I'm a big trade guy. That's kind of one of my things I'm known for, to be honest. But I truly believe.
So I throw it out there. I'm throwing the line out there.
Philly, you named it. I mean, Philly, Portland, Utah are the 3 main ones that need to blow it up with their cores, that is. And
I don't see enough people talking about Utah. And
nobody is. You're right. No, you're right. And I truly think when I say core, I just mean Rudy Gobert. I'd love to see them try to exactly. I'd love to
play the year.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. I'd love to see him try to move on from Conley too. Just try something different. I mean, if you're already going to move on from Gobert, you're already shaking things up. But Conley was great for him. Don't get me wrong, but I just think they might be able to do a little better because they got intriguing players to play with. I don't know why you wouldn't want to play with Donovan Mitchell. The guy's exciting as hell. But the other team a lot of people don't mention is Dallas. I think KP needs to be gone. I just think that relationship is tarnished there between him and Luka. Other than that, I really would like to see Miami make a lot of moves. Honestly, outside of that, you could reach on New Orleans. I've hated the Brandon Ingram Zion fit. I'm a huge advocate of moving on from Brandon Ingram. I just think his value is still really high right now. And one easy switch for me that makes a lot of sense is Brandon Ingram from Colin Sexton. I'll talk about that trade till one of them's gone. But Brandon Ingram and Atlanta would be awesome as well. I like that, or just honestly anywhere on a good team. But I hate that fit. It just, Jonas is going to help that a little bit, but they still need a lot more there. So other than that, I mean, that's going to be about it, I'd say. It's going to suck if Paul George has got to run out there all by himself for an entire season, but hey, it is what it is. I think those are probably the 5 main teams I'd say need to make drastic moves.
And that's funny because I was actually going to ask you about New Orleans because they just completed that first. Well, I don't know if that was actually the first trade of the offseason, but I guess since the NBA Finals finished, the Eric Bledsoe, I think it was Steven Adams, the 10th pick for the 17th pick, and Valanciunas. I was kind of just wondering, where does New Orleans go from here? Obviously, you talked about the Brandon Ingram swap. Is it something that it looks like they're interested in doing, or are they in love with Brandon Ingram? Do you know anything about that?
So there's reports, but I'm one of those guys that, I mean, I question everything unless it's from Woj or Shams. I mean, there's a couple other guys, I'll trust. I mean, like Chris Haynes and Dame, I'll trust that relationship till it proves me wrong 100%. But You just got to know like what teams guys are plugged in with. I mean, there's a couple that, each team has their guys as well. So, but in the easy way, rule of thumb is Woj or Shams or die, But
I hear that.
with that said, I mean, New Orleans, I mean, they got young talent yet. I still like a lot of the guys, Jackson Hayes, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kill Lewis. I mean, they got dudes. It's just putting a fit together. Willie Green's interesting. I'm excited to see what he can do there as the coach. But like I said, Brandon Ingram's a mid-range guy. I mean, yes, he can shoot the three ball at a high clip, but he operates well in the mid-range, and he's a high-usage guy as well. Likes to dominate the ball a little bit. So, I mean, he's closer to playing like Melo than Paul George. Paul George is a guy that doesn't need high usage. He's a very versatile scorer, can score from all different areas. That's going to – but it's like at the end of the day in the NBA, it comes down to one, does the fit exceed the talent or does the talent exceed the fit? And right now it's not there either in New Orleans. So they got to figure out something. But this is a good first step for him. It really is. I like Jonas. Big upgrade.
Yeah, and just getting that Adams contract, that Bledsoe contract out of there, that's going to do wonders for him as well. And, just the rumors that have kind of drifted out of there now, whether it's reputable or not, just the rumbles about Zion's family, Zion, kind of unsettled there in New Orleans. So I think they should do everything in their power to make sure he stays in New Orleans there. Let's drift over into some quick NBA draft talk. Obviously, I wanted to spend most of the show on the offseason. That's the interesting. That's the meat of the content here. So definitely wanted to spend some time on that. But let's move towards the NBA draft, and then we'll finish up. I do just want to kind of get your opinion on what we saw in the NBA Finals as well. I know you're a big Giannis supporter on Twitter, so definitely want to get your take on that. But first, I want to start with, the NBA draft. Obviously, now the rumors that came out today, they're saying that the Detroit Pistons aren't solidified as, with Cade Cunningham as a pick. Everything that's led up to the draft has said that he's going to be the number one pick. So I'm not swaying away from that, just, off one report today. But Cade Cunningham, what are they getting, if they draft this guy number one overall? Is this something that can change the culture in Detroit? Is this something that is really, could be that kind of that momentum swing that they need of young, fresh talent to kind of, just switch the tide there in Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, he's not the LeBron, he's not the Luka number one pick, but I mean, yeah, he's definitely not Anthony Davis either, but he's just a step below that. I mean, he's a guy that doesn't have number one, number three, number five player in the league potential like those guys I mentioned, but he's got top 7 player in the league potential in my estimation. That is very top ceiling right now. Yeah, that ceiling can go up as I see some NBA games, but at his absolute floor, I mean, I could see him coming into the league year one and being a top 40 guy, which is amazing, very impressive. And there was rumors swirling today that, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the number 6 pick for him, but that would have been a no-brainer, just like the Ben to Toronto deal, where I don't know if I necessarily trust the guy, even though he's a really nice guy who came out with that report. I'm not going to call him out right here, but if that was a deal, Detroit, I think, would have went there, dropped off that pick on the steps of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and took Shai home with them, because I'm a huge Shai Gilgeous-Alexander guy, and I think you can get great value at number 6 as well. But yes, Cade Cunningham will change your franchise immediately. I think his floor is extremely high. I just don't think his ceiling is as high as some of the best number one picks we've had. But that's okay. Generational players don't come around every year.
Yeah.
But there's a gap between the 1, the 2, and the 3 for sure.
Yeah, and so that was going to kind of be my follow-up to that first question regarding the draft. Who do you think is the number 2 guy? Once again, bunch of rumors floating around. Seems like it's going to be Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, one of those guys. Who are you taking if you're Houston there?
Me personally, no matter who it is, I'm for sure taking Evan Mobley, but I think Green goes number 2. I'd be absolutely shocked if Green doesn't go 2, just because I think there's a relationship between Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green already, and there's just way too much smoke from legitimate people. I think Woj was even talking about like it's basically a done deal that he goes number 2. So, I'd be really hard pressed. I mean, especially this close to draft day, and those rumors have been going out for as long as possible. And I don't think that gap from 2 to 3 is very high. I just think Evan Mobley, I mean, the bigs are coming around again. I mean, as a super important player in this league, yet I still think wings overpower him. I just don't think Jalen Green's going to be that great on defense, but do I think he's got like a Beal or a Levine type ceiling? Absolutely. Maybe even higher.
Yeah, so that's pretty high regard there if they can count on that. But I guess the final question, is there any guy that really just catches your eye from not only just a talent standpoint, but value as well in the draft? Anything outside of like the top 10, top 15, a guy that you would look at catches your eye, says maybe they could be a star.
Yeah, so my favorite guy that could fall out of the lottery even, I just think he's got almost the highest ceiling as like a Jalen Green, which is insane to think about. He's not as athletic, but from a scoring standpoint, I mean, he's probably closer to a Bradley Beal than a Zach LaVine, where Jalen Green's got the athleticism of like a Zach LaVine, just a little less for sure. But for me, it's Cam Thomas from LSU, and I think he's got a kind of a low floor, but he's a freshman, and I don't know why people are so low on him. I'm still trying to figure that out. I think it's all defense and instincts of the game, and just being on a guy that it was a ball stopping offense. There wasn't much ball movement in that offense. So you could do whatever you want really in there, and they just survived off talent at LSU. So it's really hard to judge those LSU prospects this year. Because there wasn't
with these picks in this draft and all, where you see the Golden State potentially wanting to move their pick. You got the Pacers were willing to offer their pick to the Sixers. That mid first round, that late lottery round, is there good value in that range this year? If a team like Golden State says, "Yo, I'll give you our pick and somebody for your star player," is there good value this year in that range, or is this year is the value a little lower this year than other years in the past?
Yeah, Phil. So a lot of people like talking about packaging 7-14 Wiggins and Wiseman, and what can you get for that? And I tweeted it the other day. I truly think that's really close to getting a Pascal Siakam or a Bradley Beal type, or even like a Sabonis. I mean, there's a bunch of options. I mean, yes, less. I mean, to get certain guys, but those are just the players that package can be centered around. Miles Turner has been rumored for Golden State as well. Plenty of guys you can take swings at there. I mean, Ben Simmons. Golden State. I think that Andrew Wiggins. It's just Wiseman doesn't work in Philly really much.
So they don't want
pick
players this year in that range in the draft.
To answer your question, absolutely. I think it's. Honestly, last year I believe that draft was really deep, and it's kind of looking like it. We're still got a ways to go there to make it solidified as a deep draft, but this draft way more top heavy. I still think the depth till about 40 is going to be there, where you can get value. I think you can get some good players all the way down to 40, but I think the cliff is going to fall off probably around 27, where it's like, yeah, this guy's got a good floor and a high ceiling, where you can get that type of value, where guys below that, it's just like, what the hell am I getting here? And maybe I get lucky. Sure.
Yo, so can I throw this one out there real quick?
Yeah, of course.
So this is an international question. So this will kind of move us to international play and whatnot. So we know that international play is like picking up. Like everybody from the international game is starting to get a little better. Is there anybody from the international game that they are talking about or may not be talking about that you're very high on and can't wait to see what they do in the league?
Yeah, just with the Olympics going on, he's not playing in the Olympics, but I saw him play in some of the prelim games or some of the scrimmages. But Josh Giddey, he's a guy that could go in the top 10, just really big, lengthy point guard. Just a lot of question marks there, but he's got, good passing. I mean, he's versatile. I think he's going to be a good defender. But yeah, I think there's value there, and I think a lot of people like Memphis. A lot of people are thinking they traded up to get him, but just playmaking. There's a good argument he's the best playmaker in the draft. I mean, that's his strong suit. Kind of like who was it last year? I'm getting hung up on Tyrese Halliburton. Okay, like a pick like that, where people think it's just super safe. He's going to be a really high floor, but they're uncertain of his ceiling, and that's where I was definitely on Halliburton last year, and that's why I didn't have him anywhere in my top 10. But I was dead wrong on Halliburton. That was the one player I was for sure wrong on. But I like Giddey. I mean, there's definitely that Sengun's impressive, but at the same time, is he going to translate? I mean, he's like just a white version of Al Jefferson a little bit. That's kind of what it resembles. And it's like, I mean, how good of a shooter is he going to be? I mean, Al Jefferson's types aren't going to make it in today's league. And it's weird. But, yeah, he's quicker. I mean, he's probably a better rebounder and feel for the game than Al did. But, I mean, Al wasn't terrible, but his game would not translate to today's game at all. And that's what I think. I just can't get – I just get too hung up on that comparison with him. Other than that, Usman Garuba from Real Madrid, he's definitely a guy. It wouldn't shock me if he went anywhere from 7 to 34, to be honest. And you could really get a steal on him. And he's a guy, though, that, I mean, I think about Sekou Doumbouya when I think of Usman Garuba. Not like play style wise, but like the boomer bust potential when you were drafting Sekou.
So Dan had a question there. Do you see Garza getting drafted?
I draft him, but at the same time, maybe you get lucky and get him cheaper going undrafted. Or you want to stash and somebody else, and you want to just pick him up for training camp because money-wise. But I draft him, but I probably wouldn't draft him. I don't know. I wouldn't draft him in the first round, but anywhere in the second round is fine by me.
Yeah. Potential there.
You guys got any international guys you like?
I like Giddey. That's why I was asked the question.
Yeah, Giddey was the guy that stuck out to me when I was doing my research here, for sure.
Yeah, I watched like 3 minutes of college basketball this year for some reason, so I really have no say outside of Cade Cunningham. That's everybody I know in the draft this year. So,
but they were so high on Garza at the beginning. Like, I hated the coverage in the NCAA. I hated it. I'm not gonna lie, I hated it.
He was phenomenal in college.
The lack of fans.
One of those guys.
NCAA March Madness really was the first time I truly 100% missed fans at games. Was March Madness.
Yeah, for sure.
I just hated the way they talked about Garza. Garza is gonna be a water cooler holder. He's gonna be that guy. They're gonna tell him to stick his arms out. They're gonna slide a water cooler in his arms. He's just gonna sit there his entire NBA career.
But for me, I'll tell you, like Alperen Sengun, like versus Luka Garza, it's tough for me. Like I think Garza's a much better passer. I think he's got just as good a feel for the game. Shooting, maybe like that's the one guy. Like I just don't see it like a lot of these people do. Yes, I get it that he's dominating in a really good league, or not dominating, but he's doing good things and good leagues over there. So that's impressive. That always has a lot of high standings, I guess. I mean, get value points, but I just game translation, I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of just, I mean, even what I see, you see it all the time in college basketball, even, guys like Garza that just dominate in college, get to the NBA. It's just a different ball game, different level of athleticism, reaction time, all of it. So it is a different ball game. I just know as a Duke fan, I watched Tyler Hansbrough.
Oh, I was about to say it. God, I was going to say it.
God, dude, we watched him for what? I think he stayed the whole 4 years. He was definitely.
It felt like he was there for 14 years.
I know it felt like forever just because of how long he dominated us for. But you watch him get to. I think did he get drafted to Toronto?
Yeah, no. I mean his NBA career wasn't as bad as people think back on it.
He was like a solid role player.
Stop that, guys. I don't want to hear. I The only thing I remember about Tyler Hansbrough was his face getting busted by
Gerald
Henderson.
Yeah, that was my dude. Oh man,
Tyler Hansbrough. I mean,
he's 35 years old now. Is he that old of a basketball
He
player?
was old like that when he played there.
Oh man,
I just had to Google search his name to see what he's up to.
Long, yeah,
He's older than Danny Green. Wow, with the bad knees.
I mean, considering I'm older than him still, I feel even older knowing that Tyler Hansbrough is 35 years old.
How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it makes me feel real old right now.
All right, guys. So we got through the NBA offseason. We got through the draft. Definitely want to finish it off here. Just kind of recapping the finals with Zach. I know, we've all had our different takes. JD, Phil, I know you guys had the Suns in that series, which a lot of people did in all reality. But just kind of want to go over with you guys legacy impact here, just career impact. Like what? First question, what does this do for Giannis's career, Zach? Just as far as it kind of seems like he went from, two-time back-to-back MVP to now he's just getting doubted every single time he steps on the court. And, the whole season, the Bucks were kind of going unnoticed. It didn't really matter where they were in the standings. Everybody's saying, oh, Giannis, if he can't shoot, if he can't hit his free throws, they're not going to get where they need to be. They got over that hump. Where does Giannis's career, his legacy, what does this do for him?
Yeah, so we were talking about this on our show a couple days ago here, but for me, like, I'm a big historian. I do player rankings all the time. I constantly am updating them. I've been doing it 7 years pretty adamantly, and I really pride myself on my player rankings, and I think my all-time top 100 is as good as anybody out there, but hey, that's always up for debate. But coming into the playoffs, I mean, I've always thought Giannis, the last 4 years, I'd say, I thought Giannis would have a chance at making a run at being a top 10 all-time player. I really did for about the last 4 years. And I've kind of like Ben Simmons. Obviously, I've thought way higher of Giannis, but kind of like Ben, where he doesn't need to play the way everybody wants him to play. He can just dominate the way he plays and gets better in those aspects and slowly progress. If you just watch the guys like Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, Pascal Siakam, and how they progress, think about 10 times that Giannis. I mean, nobody talks about how much better Giannis got early in his career. They just look back at 4 years ago, and what he magically became one day, and they keep comparing him to that guy, not the guy he came into the league as, and the huge leaps and bounds he took after his first 3 years in the game. Literally, I mean, he averaged, 10 points a game in his first year. It's incredible how much better the guy has gotten every year. But anyways, getting into this year's, before the playoffs, I had this guy ranked as probably a 38th best guy all time. That was his exact ranking where I had him. And what I said is if everybody was healthy, his resume, I've always said his resume, his accolades is way farther than his game. Okay. And do I still think it is? Yes, it is, but not as much as I did before the playoffs. Okay. And so because he proved he can dominate, he played smarter, his game changed slightly. And the thing is, it's all intelligence for him. It's just playing cerebral at the end of the day right now in order for him to play at peak Giannis. It's like not taking as many threes, making the right pass at the right time, just not chucking up stupid shit, hitting your free throws. The dude went 16 of 17 in the most important game of his life, and he just shut everybody up. Can he continue that? That's the big question. And yeah, I mean, he can definitely go backwards from where I have him right now, but he literally, the thing that hurts him, which is really hard to say, is the talent he faced on the way there. Okay. And that's the context you put it in. Yes, there's a lot of people out there saying it's one of the weaker championships of all time. No, I'm not going to go there, and I'll pick apart the last 30 champions and the roads they took. And it's maybe leans towards the weaker side, but at the end of the day, he doesn't get to pick who's guarding him. He doesn't get to pick who's healthy, okay? All you know are the facts, what he did against who was put in front of him, and that's what you can guard. That's like, it's hard to bash Bill Russell. I mean, Bill couldn't help it, but he dominated those motherfuckers. I mean, he got 11 of those things. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So at the end of the day, facts rule way more than any hypothetical. But yes, those things are important to me. So yeah, he's not passing the KGs or the Dirks yet. But I mean, he's knocking on 18, 19, 17. Like, he's right in that wheelhouse.
I agree with you. You can only beat the teams that are in front of you. That's all you can. But did it help his legacy more or hurt Chris Paul's legacy more by not winning those finals? Like those two, comparing those two legacies right there, whose was hurt more or helped more? Like, how do you figure that situation out there?
Easy. And I was thinking about this well before the playoffs because that was the big debate. Like, and I've always said, like, I threw out a pool before the playoffs, and it's like, who's this playoff run way and more important for? Everybody said Chris Paul. I've completely disagreed from the beginning. I think Chris Paul is solidified. I truly believe that. Like, Chris Paul, even if the thing is, Devin Booker won him some big games. DeAndre Ayton won some big games, and Chris Paul had his blunders. And it's the injuries that hold Chris Paul back from the John Stocktons. And like, literally, Chris Paul needs 2 titles, I said, to even pass John Stockton for me. It really is. And so he's stuck at number 6. He is all-time point guards for me. But he's number 37 all-time. I got Chris Paul at. John Stockton's number 36. And so after the end of the playoffs, and funny thing is, I had Giannis 38 before the playoffs all-time. Giannis right now, like I said, he's right in that top 20 range. I mean, he's 15 to 20 already for me. But can Giannis go backwards after that? Off that? Absolutely. If the Brooklyn Nets just go on a tear and he starts getting eliminated in the second round. But at the end of the day, I measure dudes based on your expectations. Okay, are you meeting or exceeding those expectations, or are you falling short of those expectations? Same with LeBron. I mean, there's a reason why he's number 2 for me. He's got some pretty big asterisks on there, but at the same time, I mean, it's really hard once you get into that top 5 and to get even higher. So, I understand why some people even have him number 3 to Kareem, but I think that's bullshit.
So I wanted to throw this out there because you said something really kind of cool. And you said that for you, he doesn't jump John Stockton. I'm a Jordan kid. I grew up with Jordan. I hated the Utah Jazz. I hated John Stockton and Karl Malone, and they could both go kick rocks. So in my mind, I guess at the time when they were playing, I was like, you know what, John Stockton really is this great point guard. But as the years have gone on, I forget all about that dude. And I think it's because of the rings, him not having the rings. He's left out a lot of conversations. And I do fear that that's the same thing's going to happen to Chris Paul. Like, I think the same after he's done, they're going to be the next shining guard that's going to be out here. We're going to forget all about Chris Paul because there's still Rondo and stuff out there. Like, still guys that have rings that are out there that we're just not going to talk about those guys that, you know, were championship point guards and stuff like that. Like Zeke, like he, you know, Magic. There's all these guys that have these rings. Are we going to consider the rings a part of it, or are the rings not a part of it?
At the end of the day, like, rings are all about context. They really are. But at the end of the day, what people forget, the ring is one of the most important things. I'm not going to say it's the most important thing, but it's damn near close because you're playing the game to whoever gets the ring. That's the whole goal of determining who the best players are. Yes, and it's an individualized sport. It really is. It comes down to it. So it's really easy if you just do the homework and you dive into these guys. Who makes other players better? Who beat who? Whose numbers mean more than others? Because numbers do mean more. Like, Giannis's numbers from the regular season and the postseason up until this year, Giannis's numbers in the postseason meant way more this year. Like, he figured it out. I mean, he started playing a little smarter, but like at the same time, he made so many stupid mistakes. If he made those stupid mistakes, like I swear by this. The Milwaukee Bucks are the most talented, stupid team I've ever seen win a championship or make it this far. Like, they did not play smart basketball, but they did when it mattered. I mean, they played smart enough. But yeah, it's really hard when Chris Middleton's your best point guard as well, especially in the clutch and whatnot. And that's another thing that's going to hold Giannis back right now from the KGs and the Dirks cracking that tier is, what are you doing in the last 5 minutes of the game?
Yeah.
That's big facts.
You had, and that was the big thing that was talked about down the stretch was who is the Batman on the Milwaukee Bucks, right? And, big.
I hate it. I fucking hate it.
Who's the Batman and who's the Robin? And he was really calling Giannis the Robin, which I don't know. I just can't agree with that. No. But as far as I do want to just bring it back because I know you connected Giannis and Ben Simmons there, and obviously not a comparison as far as where their potential, their talent is, but just their mentalities. The difference in mentalities is what it is for me, and it's just a reference point at this point for me. Bringing Ben to the conversation with Giannis because we look at Giannis, who is just this completely humble guy that, always kind of, gives the team credit, doesn't give himself credit, just says he's going to work harder. He shows you that he obviously was working harder. He was able to calm down, improve his free throw percentage. Like you said, make smarter decisions. And, it's not just down to that, but it comes down to the personality and the mentality. And it's just as simple as hearing Ben Simmons, after we lose to the Hawks.
Don't say it. Don't you say it.
In a series where we weren't supposed to lose that series, and he says, "I am who I am."
Don't say it.
If you are who you are, that's not who we want you to be. Right. That's not who you need to be, and that's not what we need to hear. Now, obviously,
$40 million.
It's not about what you say to the media, right? Like that's not what it comes down to. But the reason you're being asked these questions is because you are playing under expectations. And so, for him to answer that, and there's been other interviews, there's been other answers that, I just don't particularly care for. But, and then I look even to the other guy on his team, like Joel Embiid, who soaks it all up as well. He's had his growing pains, but he's addressed them and held himself accountable. So that's just the difference I see there.
Can I ask that one question?
Yeah, of course.
I want to say this real quick. If you gave Giannis – if you gave Ben Simmons Giannis's brain year 2 or 3, we'd be looking at a freaking criminal right now, a basketball criminal. I mean, he'd be top 10 for sure, honestly. And he would be attacking that rim, and he wouldn't even need to play stylistically. He wouldn't need to play any different.
So I know JD, you got a question, but you're Mr. Ranking, Zach. And I said it earlier in the show. I say that if you give – if Ben puts it all together, he has a higher ceiling than Joel. Am I right in saying that if Ben had Giannis's brain and all, would he have the potential to crack top 10 or higher?
Yeah,
than
Giannis? He could have been better than Joel.
More than Joel brain. For sure, right?
For sure, but he doesn't, and
he doesn't.
That's why I just don't see him ever get any better. Really, I just don't, because I don't think he has that mindset, and the mindset's not. Nope. There's sports psychologists, sure, but it's very, very rare that a psychologist is going to change the way somebody starts playing on the basketball court.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Go ahead, JD.
All right, so this is a completely non-Ben related question. This is something very, very much more sad for us, and it's going to be worse because it's going on right now. The Olympic team. Are they possibly the worst fucking team in the world? I know I had to censor myself. We're on TV. Are we the worst? Is this the worst USA team you've ever seen?
It's tough on paper. It's definitely not. But watching them, man, I have no idea. I have no idea what to even say. I mean, a lot of it's just they're letting the rules get to them, or they care. They wouldn't have showed up if they didn't care. So, or they could just be trapped there once they got there. They're like, yeah, I don't really care. I thought this was going to be a cakewalk, and they're like, oh, I can't overcome not caring. They're just there to get some ladies, I guess. But that's what I telling you. That's what a lot of them go there for. Is just the ladies. But
you can't get the ladies on those cardboard beds.
These are the best athletes in the world. Phil, you think they care about beds? Just hold them up. Like, we don't need cardboard beds.
Dude, like I just threw that one out there for you. I gave you a layup there, right, JD?
All right, listen, check this out. I want to throw this out there. The USA team is so bad that they're legitimately playing late at night here, and they're still not re-showing it because they don't want us to see it. and the thing that people keep killing me, and like, they keep getting mad at me because I keep saying, okay, well, look at the box score. These are still players that people are targeting in free agency. Like, they're targeting these guys. Like, is it possible that these dudes just don't want to really play? Like, Dame having 11, 12 points, dude. Like, this is craziness. Like, I don't care who you're playing. Like, do I think Australia's that good? They got that much good defense where KD's not scorching everybody he plays against? Like, come on, man.
They're just trapped in the confines of Greg Popovich and Jerry Colangelo and the Ghosts.
And they're in the second place.
They just got to play free. They got to play free somehow.
JD, you're older like me. We got babies and Zach and Scotty. You're old enough like me to remember pre-Dream Team, okay? That was worse, okay?
No.
But this would be right up there with pre-Dream Team, you know.
Pre-Redeem Team. This is that team right before we get another Redeem Team. This is that team.
Okay. All right.
You're going to be
I still remember the pre-Dream Team.
They were trash too.
They were bad.
What is this called? What is this team called? So that was Redeem. That's Dream Team. The last one was Redeem Team. What's the next one to avenge us getting our face knocked off? Is that one going to be Redeem 2.0? Like, what is it?
Yeah, it's like the Infinity War. The next one's, Endgame.
Endgame.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's the biggest confusing thing to me. Watching guys like KD, like the last game, 10 points, fouling out. It doesn't make much sense to me. When you got that much talent, that's what these guys are there for, to score. You know what I mean?
We're soft, bro. Like, that's what
it's coming down to. They're soft because when I see a guy like Drew Holiday leave the NBA Finals, go straight over to Tokyo, and is the leading scorer on the team, all that tells me is that it's because he's playing harder than everybody else. Like that, Drew Holiday is a guy that just goes 100 at all times, plays defense really hard, gets in passing lanes, can get in the lane. So that just showed me that these guys are lacking some effort there. There was times where Damian Lillard, he just looks so passive. He's just trying to, and maybe that's part of it. They don't know where to fit. They're trying to make sure everybody else is comfortable, try to get everybody else shots when they should be taking the shots. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, guys. But
our league is so soft. The NBA is so soft now with people like flopping to get jump shots, and it's sad to watch. Like, you watch a guy like Trae Young average 20 trips to the free throw line. And in international play, nobody's going to the line more than like 3 times, to be honest with you. Like, no, they're not calling a foul unless you're bleeding. Like, they don't care. Like, the refs they're making it such a game where people are actually having to play, and they're not getting to be the smarter foul drawer, which is cool.
Right.
I just don't.
Got to change up those rules. I'd love to see it.
I would too.
Bring back the FIBA rules.
Part of me feels like Trae Young would go over there and help them out a little bit, though. I don't know. Maybe the fouling, if it's affecting everybody else, I'm sure it would affect him. But I don't know. With that skill set, I just feel like that it's kind of what they need, just being able to drive the lane, the floater. You can kick out, get open guys, but it's hard to say what they need. They got plenty of scoring there, so it's hard to say. But, guys, definitely held you guys here. It's about as long as I should be legally capable of. We're getting close to an hour and a half here, so I'm going to get you guys out of here. It's a late night for us over on the East Coast, I guess you could say. But definitely great having all of you guys on today. Zach, thank you so much for joining us. Definitely been a pleasure. The wealth of knowledge that you provided for the NBA, draft prospects, you covered it all tonight, man. So I appreciate you coming on.
No, it was a blast. Thanks for having me, guys, and anytime, for sure.
Definitely. So, guys, be sure to go follow Zach on Twitter at Zak Noble, right? I got it in the right order?
ZAKNOBLE.
There we go. At Zak Noble. Find him on Twitter. As he said, he's very active with the trade machines. That's my favorite part.
It's my least favorite thing in the world. I hate the NBA trade machines. But when it's somebody reputable, it's okay. When it's the little Joe Schmoes doing,
some ridiculous
Ben Simmons for, the 20th guy on the
out of control.
I love Zach. I just like to watch his tweets. Like, I just watch his tweets. It's like a TV show. I watch his tweets.
Appreciate that. Glad I can break some.
Man. But Zach, is there anything you got going on? Anything you want to plug while we got you here before we get you out of here for our listeners?
We should have another draft prospect or two coming on the next week or two, and hopefully a couple big names in regards to talking draft stuff. But Noble and Roosh show on Ball is Life. Catch us all over Ball is Life and wherever you catch a pod. So appreciate any support there.
Definitely, guys. Be sure to go subscribe. Be sure to check out all of his content. It is worth it. JD, Phil, thank you guys for joining me tonight as well. Always love having my DSM guys on my show. Makes me feel proud and just humble for you guys to want to join me tonight. So thank you for that as well. Guys, be sure to follow JD at JD Oracle _DDS. Be sure to follow Phil at Beard of Knowledge on Twitter. Guys, thank you for joining. If you're not subscribed to DSM Media, be sure to subscribe. Tap in. We got a lot going on. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. You guys you're going to want to subscribe. You're going to want to hear the details of what we got going on in the future. The big tailgate, August 22nd, open tailgate, open practice. We have 6 tickets that we're giving away to go to the open practice. Three pairs of tickets. So 6 tickets total, two each. So just 3 pairs of tickets to the open practice there. Come out. We'll have merch. I believe we're doing a Devontae Smith jersey giveaway. Or are we doing Jalen Hurts? Correct me.
I don't know.
We can't be giving away Jalen Hurts yet. We gotta wait.
Yeah, not with all this Deshaun Watson talk, but we're going to go. I believe we're going to Devontae Smith route.
I skip a lot of the messages in the group chat, so I didn't know anything was confirmed yet. So
I'm gonna say with Devontae Smith.
You want to know what I hate worse than the NBA trade machine? It's group chats. So if I ever ignore you guys in the group chat, that's my apologies.
It's all good. Yo, I wanted to say this while he was on here, but he got off. But maybe he'll see this. So Zach, when I was looking for pictures to do his caricature, I couldn't find any pictures. He's the most famous unpictured person on the internet. It's actually ridiculous.
All right, guys.
That may not even be him. Like,
it does look. Honestly, I really didn't know what he looked like until we got him on here tonight. So, I do all my listening to him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So, like, I don't get to see him in the live streams. But definitely got a good character down there in the corner. I love it. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to let you guys go. If you're not subscribed to DSM Media, subscribe. Follow DSM Media on Twitter at DSM_media. You're going to want to ride along with us. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. JD, if you want to hit them with the outro.
Let's go.